Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Tuesday, the 12th of December. Good to have you aboard, part of the Believe Podcast Network, and presented as always by Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you're involved in an accident, doesn't matter what kind, if you're dealing with a personal injury, wasn't your fault, you call Anidjar and Levine, you let them put their skills to work for you, you get compensated like you deserve. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We didn't do the show yesterday, I apologize. It was a Dolphin game day. Wasn't my plan not to do the show yesterday, but I had the roofers. They're actually still here at the house, but yesterday, all day long, had the roofers here getting a new roof on the ZASLOW mansion. Very important to have a roof to your home. So yesterday, it's banging and banging, and not only would I not have been able to do the show here because it's so loud, but I had to take the dogs, had to leave the house. The dogs were going to go crazy. So, I wasn't home all day yesterday. I was out all day yesterday at my neighbor's house, just hanging out there. So, couldn't do the show. I apologize for that. Hopefully you don't hear any banging today. There's no banging right now. I think they may be done with that part. But if you hear any kind of, noise of that sort, you know what it's from. A lot to get to here today. I mean, you guys know what we're talking about today. There's no pussyfooting around what we all bear witness to last night. But first, with all the major sports in action this week, you got the college football playoffs. They're getting ready to kick off, and BetOnline is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info. That includes news for pro football, the NBA, upcoming fights, NHL games this season. Head to the website today to get into the action and see all the updated odds for the week. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, man, what a shit show the entire game was, because you only had stuff to cheer about for 2 minutes in that game yesterday. The first, what are we talking here? 54 minutes. Well, actually, the first few minutes were good last night, except the first few minutes weren't even good because the Dolphins drove the field and then they turned the... You had Xavier Howard go down hurt. You had Jalen Waddle go down hurt. You had Connor Williams go down hurt. Then the Dolphins get down to the goal line, 2 fumbles, and so we got a turnover right away. So that all happened before, right before the Zach Sealer touchdown. So you had 20 seconds of really cool there with Zach Sealer, but really the first 54 minutes of the game was a total shit show. Then you had 2 minutes that you felt good about when the Titans really handed the Dolphins the football game. And then the next 4 minutes, again, shit show resumed. So you had a total of about, about 55 and a half minutes more than that. 57 and a half minutes last night was just a giant shit show. And now the Dolphin fan, this is what we have to deal with. So this isn't going to be the type of show today. I'm not going to give you the type of show where, okay, ZASLOW's going to make us feel better. Now, I'm not ready to jump out the window. I'm not putting a gun in my mouth here. But I'm not going to make you feel better about what took place last night. And so, and here's the big picture. I can't sit here and scold people who say the Dolphins are frauds anymore. You know that's been my MO for most of this season. Dolphins lose on the road, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Buffalo, all good teams, all Super Bowl contenders. And we'll get to the Bills, coming up here. But you got other teams who will lose to the lesser thans. They're not frauds. Only the Dolphins. Well, now the Dolphins have one of those losses. Now the Dolphins got tripped up, and it happened at home against a Tennessee team with really nothing to play for. So I can't sit here and defend the Dolphins from being frauds anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that I think the Dolphins are frauds. I don't think the Dolphins are frauds. I don't feel that way, but I can't sit here and defend you. I lose that case. I walk into a court of law against someone who is going to make a case that the Dolphins are frauds, I'm going to lose that case today. I lose that argument until I win it. And the only way that I win it is for the Dolphins to win those big games. Like, we were going to get to that place where, hey, Dolphin fan, I've been telling you, Dolphin fan, just, people are going to say what they're going to say, and the Dolphins are going to have their opportunity, they're going to have their chance. Dallas, at Baltimore, Buffalo, and then, of course, the playoffs, but specifically those 3 final games of the regular season, Dolphins are going to have their chance to shut everybody up. But now, because the Dolphins lost that game last night and lost that game the way they did, the thing that I've been standing on is the sign of a great team. You don't get tripped up by the bad teams. Essentially, split the games against the really good teams. Don't get tripped up by any of the bad teams. You're gonna end up in a great spot. Dolphins can't say that anymore. I can't say that anymore. So I lose that case now. I can't win that case until the Dolphins win that case. I don't have a leg to stand on anymore. So last night I went to the game. Took my son to the game, got him for Hanukkah. Got the tickets a couple months ago, actually. So for Hanukkah, very expensive, these tickets. But we sat where we like to sit. First row, upper deck. And we sat in one of the corners. And these are such money seats. Like, if you're thinking about going to a Dolphin game, first row, upper deck is so money for football. But first row, upper deck in the corner, like right in front of where the bars are, right in front of where the big screens are, because it's just one row. It's just one row there. So, like, I get to just sit there. Like, I stood up a few times. And by the way, it's not like there were very many things to stand up and cheer about. How many times throughout that game did you actually have plays that you could stand up and get excited about? But I love those seats right there, especially just the one row, because I don't need to stand up. Like, there was a guy in the section over and said, everybody stand up, stand up. And like, I'm thinking to myself, nah, man, I specifically bought these seats so I don't ever have to stand up. I'm in the front here. There's nobody in front of me. And guess what? No one behind me. I specifically got these seats so I don't ever have to stand up. Now, I did stand up a few times because I get excited. But last night, the thing that bothers me the most, so I've talked about this before, right? I'll never understand. It's why, I don't like traveling for sporting events. I'll travel for WWE, always a great time. I'll travel for Pearl Jam, always a great time. I don't like the idea of traveling for sports. And I made the example where, the last Dolphin game I went to a few weeks ago against the Raiders, there's a good amount of Raider fans there. Not a ton, but a good amount of Raider fans there. And it's like, man, did you enjoy that? Like, the Dolphins, they won the game at the very end. The Raiders come up short. You spend a ton of money. You're walking out of the stadium now, and like, you're saying to yourself, I still had a great time. Like, I don't know, it didn't feel like a good time to me. And so, you're thinking of all the money that you spent, your team lost. Like, I don't know. I'm not one of those who leaves and goes, oh, but we still had such a great time. So I'm leaving the game last night, and it doesn't even play a part really. The fact that the Dolphins, the fact that I spent so much money on the tickets, I don't even care about that. But you could factor that into this argument I'm making if you want. I'm leaving the game last night, and like, I don't know, I didn't have that much fun. I'm leaving now. It's a loss that feels like it derails the season, and I'm not walking out saying, putting my hand around my son. Son, but at least we had a great time together. Like, I don't know, wasn't that fun to me? If they would have won the game, great time. But they lost, and I didn't even travel. I'm here, I'm local. Took me 20 minutes to get home. Real easy getting in and out of that parking lot, actually. I had that maroon Mac Daddy parking pass. You know what I'm talking about, right next to the helipad. But nonetheless, I wasn't walking out of that stadium saying, oh, you know what? Still had a great time. Didn't feel like that great a time. They lost, and it was a super damaging loss. Good on you, I guess. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to jump out a window, but I don't understand the people who still have a good time at the game when their team loses. That doesn't make sense to me. But and the part that's really frustrating, I was enjoying myself and my son, although the game stunk. But I turned to him and I said, like, it was the third quarter, and Dolphins were down, or going into the fourth, and they're down 13-10. And I said to son, I like it that it's a close game. You know I like games like that every now and then. I don't need 45-15 every single week. I don't need 34-13 every single week. I'll take 13-10 going into the fourth quarter, as long as they're going to pull it out, all right? And I still felt like they were going to pull it out going into the fourth quarter. And I turned to my son, I'm like, I like it when the game's close. Like the last game I went to, and they won 21-13, I think it was, against the Raiders. Unexpected, close game, have to make plays at the end. I like that it's close. Now, I wouldn't have enjoyed the game being close like that at home. I'm watching at home, I want it to be a blowout. But if I go to the game, for a change, I like that the game was close last night. So I was into it. You know I like a low-scoring, close game every now and then. And so, the thing that bothers me the most, though, was it should have been like this really cool moment in memory that I had with my son. And, especially when the Dolphins went up 27-13, we were jumping up and down and we were hugging. It's like, yeah, this was so worth it. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. And then just a lump of coal dumped right on my fucking head at the end of that game. Like, that's how it ended up going down. Just a lump of fucking coal dumped on our head. So that's the part that bothers me the most is I was enjoying myself. Weather was great. Oh my God, such good weather. And like I said, great seats. So easily accessible to get to the concessions on. That right there, I think, now I don't know if it's because we're in the corner of the upper deck, corner, end zone, whatever. I don't know how much a part that plays, but the convenience of getting to the concession stands, oh my God, it's not like that in the lower level. In the upper level, major perk of being in the upper level. And like I said, I'm not in the Joy Taylor Memorial seats, sitting 20 rows up. First row. And that's my new favorite thing now for hockey, too, for Panther games. First row upper deck. And hey, when I was a Heat season ticket holder, I had second row upper deck behind the goal. Loved those seats. And it was the section in Kaseya Center where it's only 2 rows. So I had the wall right behind me. So great. I love that. I want to feel cozy, all right? But anyway, the way that game finished last, and by the way, the start of the game, even after the turnover from Tua when Sealer got the touchdown, it was like such a fun way to start the game. The crowd, that's also one of the things I like about sitting in the front of the upper deck. You got a good view of the crowd. The crowd just going ape shit as Sealer got that touchdown. It was such a cool scene. It's like, hell yeah. And I was jacked up to start that game anyway. I was in a great mood. I'm like, we are going to bust these fools. We are going to mess them up. I thought we were going to kill them. They're a 13.5-point favorite. How are we not going to kill them? And so it was such a fun start. I'm totally jacked up, but it's like you had nothing else because what was it, the fourth play of the game? Tyreek Hill got hurt, and just the game goes completely sideways. And by the way, if you're a Dolphin fan who's my age, I've seen that movie 1,000 times during my childhood. Now, I'm not sure yet if I'm about to witness it again. It's always a thing. The Dolphins would go into September every year, 7-3, 8-2, and you always had that December collapse. Always. I don't know if that's what we're going to witness again. There's no reason to believe that those teams from the 90s, early 2000s, have anything to do with this team. There's literally no reason to believe that. Some of these players weren't even alive. So it's stupid to hold this team accountable for what scarred us growing up, essentially. So I'm holding off on that feeling, but yeah, that last night that we saw, and especially the defense giving it up in the final 4 minutes, allowing 2 long, they weren't turnovers, allowing 2 long touchdown drives to rookie Will Levis. I've seen that movie 1,000 times. That felt like those really good late 90s, early 2000s, Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Sam Madison, Pat Surtain-led defenses that were awesome and were great the whole game and then would give it up in the fourth quarter. I've seen that movie so many times, and we witnessed it again last night. Are we going to witness the same December collapse? I'm not ready to say that. There's no reason to hold this team accountable for those teams' actions 25 years ago. There's no reason to do that. So we'll circle back to that in a second. But anyway, let's get back to the game here. I wake up this morning. It's like 8:30 in the morning. Call my father. And I picked up like, oh, can you fucking believe that shit last night? I really thought that he would have shut the game off. I mean, ESPN Stats and Info had them as 99% chance to win the game at that point. I thought my father was going to have turned off the game and gone to sleep. Old man, it's like 11:30 at that point, But he knew what I was talking about. He had seen it. And he even said I almost turned it off. And it reminded me, the Panthers, the Florida Panthers, I thought I was going to call him this morning, and he had no idea that they lost. He was going to pick up on us, like, do you believe that shit last night? It's like, yeah, great win. I was expecting him to say that because that happened with the Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, Game 1 Eastern Conference Finals, the game that went to, it was 4 overtimes, right? The game that went to 4 overtimes and ended at 2:30 in the morning, and I called my dad the next morning, and I was like, that was unbelievable. And I remember saying, I go, did you stay up? He goes, yeah, I stayed up. It was a great game. I'm like, really? Wow. You stayed up until 2:30 in the morning? I didn't expect that. Like I say, he's old. And he goes, what do you mean 2:30 in the morning? I go, the game ended at 2:30 in the morning. And he's like, what are you talking about? They scored at the beginning of overtime. It was like 11 p.m. I went to sleep. And which, of course, Lombard got the goal, remember, at the beginning of the first overtime. And then they reviewed it, and they took it away, and the Panthers ended up winning in the 4th overtime in the middle of the night. I go, Dad, they played another 4 hours. The game did not end there. And he had no idea. Now, granted, same result. Panthers won. But he had no idea what took place until I called him the next day. And I thought I was walking into the exact same thing. To his credit, he stayed up. Now, I was at the game last night. Some of you may have been saying, ZASLOW, did you leave the game early? No, I did not leave the game early. And now, I thought about it. I thought about turning to my son and saying, hey, it's 27-13. I turned to him, so with 6 minutes left, it's a tie game. It's 13-13 with 6 minutes left. And I almost turned, well, I did turn to my son. I turned to him and I said, because it was tied at 13 with 6 minutes left, and then at 4 minutes left, Dolphins are up 27-13. And I said to my son, I go, 2 minutes ago, with 6 minutes left in the game was tied, and the Titans were getting the football. 2 minutes later, we're up by 14. Now, I did consider leaving at that point, but then I said to myself, I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do the show. You know what? It's great weather. I'm comfortable. I got the Mac Daddy parking pass. I think I'm going to get in now. It's like, I don't need to leave. So we stayed. But a lot of people left. Now we know I hate leaving a game early when we're down because if we wind up coming back and it's a miracle win, and even if it's a miracle win which happens 1 out of 100 times, I don't want to miss the one time. We all remember Ray Allen Game 6, 2013 finals. But do you feel different if you leave and your team blows it? So a lot of people left the game early. I did not. But if you did leave early, and I tweeted this out, if you did leave early, would you be mad, or are you glad that you missed that finish? So I got a bunch of response. John responds, I'm glad I left. Blowing a lead is not a memory I want to keep. I've done that enough with the Canes. Joe responds, went to be up left up 2 scores with 4 minutes left. Good question, and I'm absolutely really glad I did. So a couple of these guys, they're glad they left and missed it. Jacko tweets to me, I saw you stayed. How about that? He saw me. I saw you stayed. I was one that left. Glad I missed that debacle in person. Sammy, glad I missed it. Anthony, I left and glad I did. Who wants to see that garbage? Dak, glad I left. Diorona, facts. I stayed too. So he stayed. I had to think about it. If I leave and they make a comeback, that's a disaster, of course. But if I would have left and I missed that, I gotta be honest. Like, I've been thinking about it. I don't know how I would feel. I think I'd have been annoyed that I left. Because I don't know. Even as that's coming out of my mouth, then there's a part where it's like, no, I'd be saying, I'm glad I missed that fucking shit. Although I certainly would have been less stressed. I'd have been less stressed if I left because I didn't witness it, and also because listening to the call of Jimmy Cephalo on the radio, I probably wouldn't have known that they lost. But I really don't know. All you guys, though, are saying that you're glad you left. You're glad that you missed it. So, I stayed. Now, let's get to some of the stuff from the actual game. The offensive line was a major problem. They were already without Robert Hunt. They were without Teron Armstead. And I told you, they should have held Teron Armstead out. Already without Hunt. Already without Armstead. Then they lose Connor Williams just a few plays into the game. 3/5 of their offensive line and 4/5 of their line at the start of the season are out. This is a problem. And the offensive line has been great all year. It finally caught up to them last night. And then you add on top of it with Tyreek being out. So not only the offensive line being out and Tyreek being out, and now all the rhythm is completely thrown off. But man, let's also be fair. Tua was bad. He was bad last night. Just not sharp. And that comes with throwing his timing off. See, that's the whole key with him. If you throw, it's not even just the happy feet. If you can throw his timing off, no one in the league is better with the accuracy and with the timing than Tua Tagovailoa. But if you throw off the timing, you don't even need to sack him. And they had a bunch of those. But if you throw off the timing, that is the whole key with him. And it did not feel like McDaniel trusted him late in the game. And I certainly didn't trust him late in the game. When the defense scored, I can't believe they marched down the field the second time they did. I kept saying to myself, I can't believe they're going to lose this game. I can't believe they're going to lose this game. And then when the Dolphins got the ball back, there was no part of me that thought Tua was going to drive them down the field. And if they did, there was less part of me that thought Jason Sanders was going to miss that kick. I saw it going through my head. I've been telling you guys, he is going to cost them games. He's going to get them eliminated from a playoff game. And Sanders was going to miss that kick. I was so prepared for it. But I had no confidence in Tua on that final drive. And McDaniel did not trust him. And we didn't trust him. And the turnovers now for Tua, interceptions and holding the football, are a major, major problem. And here's the biggest knock on Tua. You ready? Because we know what he is by now. And he's a really good quarterback. And he's the most accurate. And the timing is the best. He's terrific. I love him. They can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Tua. But we know what he is by now. All right? And the biggest difference, this is the biggest knock. The biggest difference between Tua and the other elite quarterbacks, Tua doesn't make those magical plays. He can make all the great throws. The timing, the accuracy, phenomenal. As good as anybody. But he doesn't make, he can make magical throws. He doesn't make the magical plays. There's a difference. We're talking about The defense gets him rolling out. The defense gets him scrambling, and he makes it happen. He makes something out of nothing. He makes the magical play. He doesn't do that. We know what he is by now. And what he is definitely good enough and great at times. But the biggest knock I would say against him is he isn't capable of making those magical improvisational plays. And that's what happens when you get him rolling. When you get him out of the pocket, when you get him scrambling, and you need him to make something happen, he's not good at that. And we saw it a lot last night. Now, would he have been better at making those plays with Tyreek Hill running around? Yeah. But the circumstances can't always be perfect. I think that's the biggest knock. He was never able to make that play happen last night. And in general, he is not great at making the magical play. He can make the magical throw. The magical play, we don't get that very much from him. And by the way, not a good game for Mike McDaniel either. Again with the challenge. He's awful at challenges. I think for his career, he's 2 for 11. He's terrible at challenges. And not running the ball on the goal line. Dolphins' running game was great yesterday. Not running the ball on the goal line. That stupid fade to Cedric Wilson. I hate that shit. And then, when they really needed some kind of urgency, really conservative on that final drive. Pass to the left, should have been ruled inbounds. They called him out. Pass to the right with Achane. I thought he got out. They said he didn't. I haven't even seen a replay yet because fucking whatever. Clock runs, 2 and out, 4th down, and then you get sacked, game over. Like, not McDaniel's finest game. Probably the worst loss so far in the Mike McDaniel era. Frustrated, man. We are going to have some fun today. We'll get to the Heat. The Heat won last night. I watched the last few minutes of the fourth quarter on my phone at the game, at the Dolphin game last night. We'll update our power rankings. Got to do that. ZASLOW Show 2.0 power rankings. We know now, last night, week 14, Packers lost to the Giants 24-22. So big underdogs, both games came through last night, Giants and Titans. So we'll update the playoff picture. We got Twitter Jam as well coming up. Panthers are back in action tonight. Late night with the Cats. You know what I'm talking about. First, though, I'll tell you what else I'm talking about. If you're thinking about buying a new car, I send you to the only car dealership I personally endorse. You know we're talking about North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. At North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, they promise to provide customers with an exceptional experience at their brand new state-of-the-art facility on North Andrews Avenue. You get that relaxed indoor car shopping experience. Maybe just want to get your current car serviced. And by the way, you don't have to currently drive a Subaru to get that exceptional service at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. They service all makes and models. And right now, at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, they have an extensive new and pre-owned inventory, plus used cars, trucks, SUVs of every make and model. You're sure to find your next vehicle at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru. And right now at North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, there's a big event going on right now. The 2023 Subaru Share the Love event, where a portion of all new sales goes to help local organizations in the community. Plus, lots of great offers right now, like a 2024 Subaru Outback Premium you can lease for just $321 a month for 36 months with $59.95 due at signing with approved credit, or a new 24 Crosstrek, just $219 a month for 36 months with $54.95 due at signing. Go at NFLSubaru.com. That's NFLSubaru.com. North Fort Lauderdale Subaru, the location you know with an experience you'll love.